UDO Super 6. It's a little bit different and contains a little bit more functionality than VCAs often do. Sometimes there isn't even any control of the VCA apart from the volume knob. So this is a cool thing to have a little bit more functionality here. And it can lead to expressiveness in ways I will demonstrate. Okay, first of all, typically the envelope on a synthesizer that's controlling the VCA, that envelope's output is just put directly to the VCA, which is fine. But in this case, we have an envelope level that allows us to decide the degree to which the envelope to output controls the amplitude of a VCA. Right now, we have it set at 0 dB, which I think is kind of like the average output level like 100%, I guess. But let us listen. So here, let's create an envelope with envelope 2 for this sound. Okay, so now let's listen to that about halfway down. So we have a diminished degree to which the envelope controls the VCA, and it has a diminishment in amplitude, which is why we have 0 dB on there to indicate where a 0 dB output would exist. Let's take it all the way down. So this acts as a sort of volume knob in some ways, but you might also notice that as the loudness decreases, the intensity, the degree to which the envelope changes the sound overall also diminishes. And we can push it beyond 0 dB. So, sorry about that. So if you want a boost, you can certainly get it. Also, if you are a person that says, hey, I want envelope 2 to control my filter right now. So I have turned on the envelope. I pushed up the slider for the envelope to control the filter. I've set it to envelope 2. Now envelope 2 is being the controller for the filter cutoff point. But it's also controlling the amplitude put out by the VCA, and maybe you don't want that. So you could then switch it to this square wave, which is basically an on-off. When you press the keys, the VCA is open. When you release the keys, the VCA is closed. And that is a different sound. In this instance, the filter is, controlling amplitude to a certain amount because as you take away the high frequencies, you have a diminishment of amplitude. But instead of what the filter's doing being affected by what the VCA is doing, the filter is doing all of the enveloping and the VCA is just saying, okay, while the keys are down, you're on, so filter, do your thing. But then you might say, well, that sounds cool, but I noticed that when you took your hands off the keys, all the sound stopped. That's true. And that is one of the ways that that setting is at least a little bit frustrating. You have the benefit of having the filter define all of the changes in timbre and amplitude, which is cool, but then you don't get to have tails, which is a fine compromise, whatever. However, the fine people at UDO have given you a third option, and that is the on-off with tail. So there is a release element to this on-off square wave shaped envelope. So it doesn't just vanish. as long as you have room for a tail in your envelope 2, which I needed to make. And that is a nice set of functionality. Now envelope 2 is free to just be a filter envelope. Envelope 1 could be used to control any number of other things. It's down in our mod section. It also has various places that it shows up in other functions. So then it's free to not control the filter. Envelope 2 is free to control the filter, and if you don't have specific amplitude needs, you can just use these basic waveforms as the controller for the VCA, which is very convenient. But we're not done, are we? We also have dynamics, which is a pretty cool thing to have in a VCA because it allows you to immediately control whether the VCA responds to velocity. And that is a cool thing. So let's come up with an envelope here. Let's get out of the filter. So right now, as you can see me playing, no matter how hard I hit, I still get the same amplitude output, the same envelope. But I'm going to switch this all the way to on so we have the most stark difference. Now the VCA responds to how hard I hit the key, and the degree to which the envelope controls the amplitude of the VCA depends upon how hard I hit the key. So then you can do expressive playing. And there's a halfway, so you get a diminished sort of response to velocity. So you have dynamics, which can make a difference in your sound depending on how you play the keys, which is really beneficial as far as expressivity.